Is free running a healthy mechanic in Magic the Gathering? Saffron Olive mentioned a few days ago on Twitter that he believes that free running applying to commanders is an easy example of what is wrong with the current commander design. And he goes on to explain his reasoning with various examples here. He has oddball cards versus efficiency, variance versus consistency, staples versus cast-offs, wizards monetizing commander at the expense of format uniqueness and potentially killing the golden goose, and so on and so forth. And as you can see, it's a huge thread. There's 2,000 likes on it. And one of the big responses here is Brian Kibler says that while I agree with your broader point, I actually don't think this is a great example of always include design. Commanders that want to come down early and attack are hardly universal. This being a card that promotes both assassins and aggressive commanders feels fine to me. And so let's read the card here. So Viewpoint Synchronization. It's a 4 and a green for a sorcery with free running, 2 and a green. You may cast a spell for its free running cost if you dealt damage to a player this turn with an assassin or commander. And that's the key part that people are zoning in on, is the or commander text. And so this card here, it says, search your library for up to 3 basic land cards, reveal them, put 2 of them onto the battlefield tapped, and the other into your hand, then shuffle. So this card by itself is not super broken. Yes, with the free running cost, it's quite a bit stronger. And if you have a very cheap commander, this could be free run relatively easily. And so free running here is a keyword ability that's an alternative cost that appears on some assassins, creature cards, and some other cards. And I keep saying free running, and I keep wanting to say free run. So here's a little free run meme right here. If you haven't seen free run the anime, everyone go watch it. But yeah, so Assassin's Creed free running mechanics that mention the word commander. So here's the Assassin's Creed cards that mention the word free running. As you can see, there's Ezio. That was one of the first ones spoiled. Eagle Vision, Brotherhood Headquarters, so on and so forth. Restart Sequence. I love the art on this one, by the way. Really great art. And so there's a lot of cards here that have this alternate cost that are intended essentially to benefit assassin-style decks, but they also can help other commander decks. Like Brian Kibler mentioned, commanders that can attack easily and get in there. And so let's go to some other mechanics in Commander that mention the word commander. So as you can see, there's Jessica's Will. That's the most popular on EDHREC. Then you have the Fierce Guardianship Cycle, Fierce Guardianship Deflecting Swat, Deadly Rollick, Flawless Maneuver, and then the green one's way down, Obscuring Haze. Some of these, now the free cycle here, the Guardianship Cycle, is pretty egregious, and I believe these cards are a mistake, especially Fierce Guardianship and Deflecting Swat. The other 3 are not too bad. But these are specifically built with Commander in mind, and these are format staples. And really, if you're playing the colors that include these, you should put these in your deck. And so, yeah, so these cards are too pushed on a power level. Jessica's Will is kind of up there. It's very powerful, but it's not... It's kind of tricky. Command Zone mentioned that they enjoyed Jessica's Will, but they also find it to be a little bit too powerful. I would not say it's as egregious as the free spells. At least you have to spend 3 mana on it, so there's that. Then you have cards like Akroma's Will. This is like a very powerful overrun effect with lifelink type stuff tacked on. Kedis is like whenever commanders deal combat damage, they replicate the damage. It's not a big deal, really. Then you have some interesting cards like Stinging Study. It's like you draw cards based on your commander's mana cost. Drown in Dreams, kind of medium. Norn's Choir Master, your commander's control attack and stuff like that. And a lot of these cards are fine. Like Visions of Ruin, like the Vision Cycle. Those are totally fine. Visions of Duplicity, Visions of Ruin, so on and so forth. I think the rest of them are mostly fine. Really, the bad ones are the Fierce Guardianship Cycle. As you can see here, just the word commander, your commander appearing on cards, Command Tower, Arcane Signet, Path of Ancestry. Those are kind of the big ones, especially Command Tower and Arcane Signet. These cards are essentially auto-includes, especially Arcane Signet, in decks that contain colors, not including colorless decks. Those don't work in colorless, but these cards are too ubiquitous, and I believe Wizards, and I think Gavin and Barrow have mentioned that Arcane Signet was a little bit of a mistake. They printed this to sell the Brawl decks with Tulane and Corvold and the like. And so I think Arcane Signet is a little bit too stapley. And so, yeah, it is built for Commander, but it could have been edited to be less bad. For example, it could have made a colorless, but if you controlled your Commander, it made any color. Something like that would have been fine. Jeweled Lotus is another pushed card. in the similar vein of like Mana Crypt style card, or well, really it's a Black Lotus for your commander. This card is push and extremely expensive monetarily, so it's kind of tricky. Well, I keep scrolling down. Sorry about that. War Room I think is perfectly in line power wise. This is better the fewer colors you have in your deck. And let's just scroll down. Most of these are pretty fair. The Guardian cycle, the Lieutenant cycle, I actually really like. If you control your commander, you get a bonus. Those are pretty cool. Tome of Legends I enjoy, and this one was actually reprinted in one of the recent sets, so it was like legal and standard, and so, like Murders of Markov Manor Commander. I think it was legal and standard at one point, but anyway, Tome of Legends I really enjoy. That's in my Commander Cube. Another Lieutenant card here, Lieutenant. These are really fun. I enjoy Lieutenant cycle. I actually like the cards like Henzi that reward you based on the number of times you've cast your commander from the command zone. I like those types of cards. Fury Storm, same deal. Those cards are very interesting. They reward you for recasting your commander, playing the game, and they get better later in the game. They're not super busted early game, similar to Jeweled Lotus, which is busted early game. And so those I think are fine. Yeah, most of these are not too bad. These are mostly pretty reasonable cards. So going back to free running, do we think any of these cards are really going to break Commander specifically? And I think a lot of people complain about free running because it was essentially like a mechanic that, like, I think it's legal in some constructed formats, and so people they get the ick when they see the word commander on a card that's played and constructed. They don't really like that. So yeah, I don't know. I think free running is fine. It's just an alternate cost. Like Eagle Vision, you can get it for 2. Like, okay, you deal damage with your commander, you draw 3. Like that is a cost. You have to deal combat damage to a player with an assassin or a commander. And let's just forget the word assassin just for a second, because obviously these are good in assassin decks. But Eagle Vision, do we really think that's that busted of a card? I don't think so. Restart Sequence, it's a slightly cheaper Zombify if you free run it. The rest of these, I mean, these are fine. I mean, Chain Assassination, like, destroy target creature, draw a card with free running 2. That's like, I mean, compare that to Deadly Rollick. You exile a creature for free if you control your commander. Like, I think I'd rather have the Deadly Rollick than the Chain Assassination. So yeah, I mean, looking at these free running cards themselves, I don't see anything that's really egregious. Like Viewpoint Synchronization, it's fine. Again, it's a ramp card. It's fine. Let's check out another Twitter post here from Dana Roach. And he says, to be fair, I completely get why EDH stopped being the format for oddball cards. Being the format for Lathril, Roaming Throne, and Arcane Signet sells way more packs. And Saffron also mentioned that in the Twitter thread here, that they're trying to monetize the Commander format, essentially by printing staples and power creeping cards and so on and so forth. And so this is, people are mentioning Cube here and the oddball stuff of yesteryear and, reminiscing on, remember when I just found cards in my collection on my desk, and I put them in my deck, and there were no staples back in the day. And it's like there kind of still were. I've been playing Commander since like 2008-ish, and it's it was a problem then with not enough reprints, and now we get like almost too many reprints in a way, but still not quite enough for some cards like Jeweled Lotus here, which could use a reprint. And so like I think, aside from cards like Arcane Signet, which are pretty egregious, and the free cycle here with the guardianships, I think the commander-specific cards, or like mentioning on a card, I think is fine. The free running mechanic itself does not seem to be pushed too far. They could have cost the free running like 1 mana cheaper on all of these, and then it would have been really strong. But I think this is fair. It's a reasonable hoop to jump through on those cards. Let's scroll down to another couple of mechanics that mention Commander. So you have the backgrounds. Most people really love the backgrounds, actually. This is Baldur's Gate cards. And these are very popular in Commander. You can chuck them in your deck. You don't have to play it with a commander that has background on it. You can just throw them in the deck. And so I really like Passionate Archaeologists. This rewards casting and playing spells from exile. That's a really fun card. Folk Hero is really great in tribal kindred decks. And so those are a couple of examples of cards I really like that mention Commander. And so those are great. Again, here's Lieutenants. I don't know why I had that tab twice. And then, here's another one. Tower Winder, a little bit of an oddball. Searches for a command tower specifically. This is like very overtly referring to the Commander format. And so I think cards, I think Tower Winder is fine. This is an example of like, oh, it gets a command tower if you haven't already drawn it. Then, but really, this only doesn't work if the command tower is in your hand, or on the battlefield. So like, yeah, this card's fine. It's not overly strong. It's totally fine. I'm not sure why I have the top commanders page pulled up, but yeah. So the idea here is that I think free running is fine. I think Saffron Olive is, he picked free running as like the scapegoat here. There's a funny meme from Golgari guy, Wizards of the Coast, free running or commander, just slap it on there. But yeah, like I think the free running as the scapegoat for commander being overly powerful, like on a card, pasted onto a card, is not quite the best example. Again, I'm going to go back. I think the Fierce Guardianship cycle was the most egregious, followed by Arcane Signet itself and Jeweled Lotus to a lesser degree. And so I think free running is fine. I think that it's a fun mechanic. Putting it on command, like attaching the batching it to commanders with assassins, it's a teeny bit of a flavor, maybe not quite a fail, but a flavor question mark, a flavor yellow flag. And so I think that's fine. But what do you guys think in the audience? Do you think that free running is an okay mechanic? Do you think that commander mentioned specifically on Wizards products is a good thing? Do you think they should just stop printing cards altogether specifically for commander? What do you think about that? And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs by the end of, I don't know when, a couple of months. I've been posting very infrequently lately. I've been dealing with some issues trying to figure out how to edit, make thumbnails and stuff, and it's slow going for me, but I'll get there. So I'm going to try to make videos a little bit more frequently, but we'll see how that goes. So yeah, until next time.